As a UX leader that spends a good portion of time interviewing candidates, one of the characteristics I've noticed about standout candidates is they ask thoughtful and strategic questions. Now, you can tell a lot about a person by the types of questions they ask, and when you do take the time to ask very strategic and genuine questions during your interview, you're going to set yourself apart from the competition. Now, there's one question in particular that can really tip the scales in your favor, and since competition is fierce, you want to be sure the questions you ask demonstrate to the hiring manager that you're a critical thinker, a creative problem solver, and someone that thinks above and beyond what's asked of them. Hi, I'm Taylor Reagan, and in this video, we're going to cover the 10 most strategic questions you should be asking during your UX UI interview, including that one question that could just get you hired. So with that, let's get into it. Now, before we dive into the questions, here are 3 quick things I want you to think about as you head into your interviews. Number 1, set expectations. Take advantage of opportunities at the beginning of your interview to set expectations. Now, you don't have to make this awkward or weird, but during the normal intros and pleasantries, especially when interviewing with a hiring manager, make sure you communicate that you're excited to learn more and you're looking forward to drilling into questions about the role. Number 2, track and manage time. One of the challenges during interviews is how fast time goes. And then just getting down to the last 5 to 10 minutes as being the only time left for you to ask questions. Manage time by managing how you answer each question you're asked. For a lot of the questions you're asked, you need to be succinct and speak to the most important information up front, so your initial answers are only a few minutes, and this enables the interview to drill into details they want to know more about, because you've given them a very detailed but high-level overview. While you don't want to be the type of candidate that struggles to get into the details, you don't want to be the one that rambles on for 15 minutes over a single question. Number 3, make it a conversation. Another way to better manage the allotted time is to turn the interview into more of a conversation. Now, this can seem difficult at first, but it can be done, and you can do this by asking questions during the interview rather than holding everything till the end. Now, this may seem counterintuitive, but try and get into the mindset that you're not at the mercy of the interviewer. Yeah, you're probably in the position of really needing and wanting a job. However, you need to momentarily suspend that mindset for the sake of your presence during an interview. So you want to subtly give off the vibe that you're interviewing them just as much as they're interviewing you. So take advantage of opportunities to turn the interview into a conversation by asking questions that align with the questions you're being asked. For example, a hiring manager might ask you, hey, tell me about a project you're most proud of or found to be the most challenging. Now, this would be an opportunity for you to ask follow-up questions about the company's maturity with UX, product design, and design operations. So once you're done answering the question, you could say something like, hey, tell me a little bit more about a project you recently worked on or oversaw and the process you used to deliver it. It's always a good idea to have your top questions in mind so you can fold them into the interview and push to turn it into a conversation. Now, these 10 questions will help you get a feel for the company you're interviewing with, how mature they are in UX and product design, how mature they are in design operations, what their leadership is like, what they value, and what is the relative priority of the role they're hiring for. A great way to quickly get a sense for UX maturity and leadership is to ask, how does the company invest in UX and how is success measured? And when you ask this question, sit back, listen, and watch how your interviewer responds. It's going to be very telling and interesting to see the answer you get. The answer or lack thereof is going to give you an indication of how well integrated UX is in the organization. Not every company is going to have leadership that measures the business value of design with the same rigor they do revenue and costs. That level of maturity is actually pretty rare, but when you ask this question, you should start to get a clear sense for how well integrated UX is within the organization and the perceived value it brings to the table as an area of specialized practice. Now, depending on the answer you get, be sure to ask follow-up questions and to get more details. Again, it's important to remember that you're interviewing them just as much as they're interviewing you. So if they ask you, what do you specifically mean by how success is measured? Do you mean from a UX perspective or a business perspective? then just make it explicitly clear that you want to understand how the company values and invests in UX and product design beside the immediate need of hiring for this role. Another important note to keep in mind, there's going to be a wide spectrum of the level of maturity, tenure, and experience with each hiring manager and team member that you may be speaking with. Be sure that you're communicating in a very clear and professional manner, and don't make these questions come across as pointed or overly critical, but rather as an open and honest because of your genuine interest in the role. Now, another great combo question to ask is a question we just used as an example. What's a recent project you worked on or oversaw and the process you used to deliver it? You want to get a clear understanding from the interviewer's own words of how a project is run and managed from start to finish. Is it chaotic? Is it reasonably messy? Are they using any Agile with Scrum as a part of their product design and development lifecycle? And do they have a clear process for how they design, build, and ship product? Pay attention to comments around people and process to get a sense for how collaborative the teams are. Do design team members have a certain level of autonomy, or are they pushing pixels all day because a design manager or product leader is dictating everything they do? A great follow-up question to probe further is to ask how often do they engage users as a part of their design process? The answer should provide clarity on the process and procedures they have in place for engaging with real users as a part of the overall design process. Now, be sure you're paying attention to subtle details in the answers you get. This may very well be an area of struggle and one that you can potentially help them with as a part of the role. If you're interviewing for a role that's part of an in-house product team, then you want to ask, how often do you make product releases? The interviewer should be able to provide the details on how often they make minor and major product releases, as well as everything that goes into and determines that process. If the company is only making 2 to 4 product releases a year, meaning they're not making any minor releases for features and functions, but only 2 to 4 large releases per year, then this could very well be a red flag, and you could potentially be looking at a company that has a very dated approach to the product development lifecycle, and one that potentially has a very limited UX and product design maturity as a part of their overall go-to-market strategy. So be sure you're drilling into specifics to understand exactly why and how a company is making product releases. Another great question to follow up with is, what is the design decision process for the team? Who's calling the shots and determining the scope and direction of the work that the UX team and product team is tackling? Is there a clear relationship between annual business planning and strategy that informs an annual product roadmap? Or is the direction of the product at the whim of a CEO or chief product officer? Are their decisions driven by the opinions of overbearing product managers, or is work prioritized based on insights and data as well as open collaboration? Do design leaders and individual contributors have a certain level of independence and decision making within their respective roles? And how much are you going to have to work at evangelizing the value of UX within the company? While there will always be varying levels of evangelization you'll have to do within any company as a UX professional, you don't want to go and work for a company where designers are overloaded and decisions are in a never-ending cycle of priority shifting within a product pivot culture. During your interview, it's also important to get a sense for how the company is structured and how people partner and work together. Always take the time to ask, what other teams and departments does UX collaborate and partner with? You want to make sure that there is a healthy level of cross-functional team collaboration, where you can bring together multiple contexts that give meaning and purpose to your work. You want to be able to work within a team where the business problems you're trying to solve are clearly defined, so the work you produce is tied to real business value. And you want to be able to work directly with developers and technical architects to understand the possibilities and constraints of the technology stack and the frameworks you'll be designing for. And most importantly, you want to be able to get structured insights to questions that you have, ideally in a periodic way through research. And you want to be able to get your most impactful design work into the hands of real users for validation. You want to get a sense for how the company supports a healthy level of interaction with customers to gather those insights and validate product solutions. Again, just keep in mind that there are going to be varying levels of maturity, so know when and where you're willing to compromise. Now, when it comes to the actual role, you want to get a clear sense for the responsibilities, expectations, and the relative priority of the role within the organization. The most immediate question you want to ask regarding the role is, why are you hiring for this role? Are they hiring because they need someone to come in and assist with research activities and then translate those insights into initial designs? Or are they looking for someone to come in and help with a variety of UX activities across research strategy and design? You want to make sure you're aligned with what the company needs, but you also want to make sure that it aligns with what you want for your career as someone that's starting out or as someone that has a bit of experience already and is wanting to grow. What does a day in the life of this role look like, and how is success measured? You want to make sure you're as clear as possible on what a boots on the ground experience of the role might look like and what you could be doing on a daily basis, as well as how your hiring manager plans on measuring the success of everything that you do. How urgent is the need to hire for this role? Instead of asking how soon, use the word urgent to get a better understanding of how truly immediate the need is for the role. So you're not investing your time and energy in an opportunity that the company may drag their feet on that never winds up turning into an actual offer. What does the career path look like for this role? Will this company support what you want to achieve? Or if you're still figuring that out, will this company give you the support and opportunities you need to grow as an individual contributor and develop into a craft specialization and production leadership type role? And finally, what's that one question that can tip the scales in your favor and set you apart from the competition? Ask the hiring manager, if I were to step into this role and achieve one thing that would blow your mind, what would it be? This question demonstrates to your potential boss that you're not just someone that wants to come in and do what's expected, but that you really want to knock it out of the park. Asking this question will portray you as someone that is not just confident, but is also a motivated critical thinker that wants to be successful. If the hiring manager is caught off guard or doesn't know how to answer the question, use it as an opportunity to envision and discuss what could be possible. In wrapping this up, every interview is different, and the order in which you ask these questions is really going to vary. It's important to try and make the interview a conversation and keep in mind that no place you go and work for is going to be perfect. The goal is to intentionally find the roles that best align with you being able to get professional UX experience in a positive work environment with the opportunity to get meaningful products to market. UX Level Up is all about helping you break into the UX industry and being successful once you've landed your role. If you've enjoyed this video, subscribe and leave a comment below telling me that you subscribed, and I'll do my best to respond. Also, use the comments to tell me about video topics you'd like to see about how to break into UX and be successful. If you're a recent bootcamp or university program graduate and are struggling to break into your UX career, I've got an online course that teaches an easy to execute approach for overcoming the toughest and most common challenges when launching or switching into a UX career. You can check it out by visiting getuxlevelup.com, and I'll see you in the next video.